What is the saying? What's the saying? If you fail enough, you'll succeed. I just made that up. I don't think it's a saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever miss as many basketball shots as Michael Jordan missed.
Or Tiger Woods teeing off and hitting how many not good tees, All right. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a special guest, Shane Myler.
Thanks, Jordan.
Didn't get it wrong.
Nice to be here. You got it?
Yeah. He was gracious enough to step away from whatever he was doing before to do this for a few minutes.
Yep. Happy to be here. Always fun to practice interview skills, right?
Yeah. That's what we're always doing here is practicing, And the podcast is more just for people to meet and get to know you, because, and I don't know you either. I mean, this is our first time meeting, as far as I'm aware.
Yep, absolutely. But I'm going to dox you because I know where you live now. Just kidding.
There's a lot to steal here, mostly cameras and lights.
So, yeah, this is great. Your podcast looks like you enjoy doing it. How long have you been doing your podcast?
I started this a year ago. So I was actually setting up for you last night, putting the lights up and everything. And we've been doing some more, been doing some more remote interviews in different places, like went down to the firehouse and things like that. And just trying to see where we can take it. And setting it up here last year was when I was first setting it up and had the idea with my wife. We were just driving down the hill, trying not to get caught by the cops, going the right speed. And then kind of just said, what if we had a podcast that was just interviewing people in Draper? I was like, that would be so awesome. And it doesn't exist. So here it is.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of interesting people in Draper. So you'll probably have a fair amount of interviews before you run out of people, I imagine, and have to expand.
What's interesting is the challenge is that people sometimes are really comfortable talking in person, but are terrified of a camera. And it's like getting someone comfortable from just talking on the street to talking on a camera is completely different. So you're very brave to just step onto the stage, and start talking like this.
Well, I can definitely relate to that. When I started YouTube, I always had an interest in being on camera, but I wasn't comfortable being on camera. And the first several videos that we made just had my kids on camera. And I was always behind the camera, but I was coaching them and directing them. So after a while, I felt like I was learning more than they were because I had to learn in order to coach and direct. And eventually we got to a point where we were making a video and we didn't have time for me to coach and direct. So instead, I stepped in and led the video because we only had like 20 minutes to shoot it organically. And that was my first time jumping in, taking the lead. And then that happened several more times when we had time constraints. I'm like, I don't have time to tell you how to do it. I'm just going to do it.
So I would love to kind of dive into that a little bit because you have a lot of experience kind of creating things, making things, right? And people that don't know you, and I didn't know this either, but you've made a pretty large following of people that follow stuff you make. Is that correct? Like with YouTube and things like that?
Yeah. We have the highest subscribed YouTube channel of anybody who has ever started a YouTube channel in Utah. Most subscribers, most views. Subscribers on Ninja Kids is over 25 million. If you take all of our channels combined, we're at about 45 million.
Wow.
And views, I believe we're over 20 billion views.
Wait, is it 20 billion?
Mm-hmm. And that's almost all long form views. So short form views are a very different story. Some people have tons of short form views, but almost all of ours, over 95% of our 20 billion views are long form. So averaging probably about 6 minutes per view.
So have you ever sat down and been like, have you ever processed that number as a real number in your head? Like, have you grasped the size of that number?
I used to put it in terms of, like, I would do the math early on and be like, okay, if you totaled all of the hours watched on our channel, it would go back 2,000 years. but the number is so big now. I haven't looked at it for a while. It's probably closer to the neighborhood of like 20,000 years at this point.
Which I can't even comprehend 1,000 years, let alone 2,000, which is double the length. I mean, that's Bible times if you go back, right? And then you go further.
If you added up all of the hours, it would date back to before recorded history.
And like when you were first making the videos, they weren't getting those kinds of views. I mean, they were.
Actually, they were.
They were? I have no idea.
Yeah. So our first video is over 100 million views.
100 million. First video? Like your first time directing and making a video, like with your kids?
Well, the first video that we put on Ninja Kids TV, we had made other videos in the past that we didn't build a brand around or create a YouTube channel for. But by the time I was ready to make Ninja Kids TV, I was ready to put everything that I had learned into one video and see if people liked it. So.
And you shot and produced it all yourself? Or?
Yeah, I did hire a couple crew that I just put out a notice on Facebook, said, hey, I need a cinematographer and an audio guy.
Yeah.
So a couple guys responded and I hired them and they came and showed up and shot the content under my direction. And then I did all the editing and put it out. And it took about 3 weeks before it started getting views. Okay. But once it started getting views, it was getting up to 1 million views a day.
Wow.
And it gave us motivation to make another one. So by the time it started getting views, almost every comment said, where's the next one? Because it ended in a cliffhanger. They're like, you guys only have one video. And so we're getting millions of views, but we only have one video. And that one took me a month to create and $2,000 out of pocket.
Really?
Then the second one, at this point, when I started producing the second one, I hadn't brought in any money yet, but it was starting to generate revenue, but it was going to take a couple months before I actually received that revenue.
Break even revenue even.
Well, any revenue, because you don't get it when it shows up, right? It comes like the end of the following month. So I'm like, well, I'm making some money now, so let's put everything that it looks like this video might make into a sequel. So started producing the second one, but it took me 2 months because it was 5 times bigger.
2 months?
Yeah.
Wow. 5 times bigger. Okay.
Yeah, it was 5 times bigger. It took me 2 months working around the clock. It took 5 times the budget, so I put $10,000 into it. But that was, keep in mind, like, that was not paying myself or my family and really hardly paying anybody, mostly
like
asking for favors or you're just trying to get people to do it. Like our main, one of our main villains in that episode, he probably put 30 hours into it and I paid him $50.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys still friends?
Yeah. I mean, we hired him for other jobs later and I ended up paying him more later, just like as a thank you bonus. One year I sent him $500 for Christmas.
Cool.
But if I were to actually produce that properly and pay everybody properly, no way I could have made it for under $100,000.
Oh, no way, yeah. People don't realize, and this is something the audience doesn't know, is that production's incredibly expensive. Having a great idea is like having a recipe. It's like having like a written down recipe, I tell people. And like anyone can think of a recipe. Everyone can read a recipe. You can get one off the internet. But making the food, I mean, that's cooking. But the middle part, going and buying the food, is the grocery shopping. And that's the production, right?
Yeah.
And that can cost $1,000 for an actor, you know, depending on how good they are and if they have experience and all the above, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, if I may have already mentioned it.
Yeah.
But the channel is called Ninja Kids TV. Mm-hmm. We started it in 2017. My background is in martial arts, and I really wanted to do something that had kids and martial arts in it and good storytelling. I saw that my kids were watching what I would call brain rot, including they would they'd watch a lot of Minecraft videos.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, well, Minecraft at least has building and creative problem solving. But then I realized and I asked them, are you going to build the things that you're watching or are you just watching? They're like, oh yeah, we're just watching. So hours of mindless, just brain rot.
Yeah.
I don't even want to call it entertainment because I don't see.
This is in 2017 when it wasn't even a term. I mean, it was happening, but it wasn't as known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, we've got to do something about this. We can't just tell people not to watch this. It's not even working for my own kids, much less anyone else. And I own a martial arts studio, so I spent most of my time teaching martial arts. And I knew I couldn't just tell my students not to watch it either. They need a better alternative, and it needs to be where the eyeballs are. So I thought, all right, if we make something that is even more entertaining than the brain rot that they're watching, but yet it offers inspiration for young people and families to adventure together and use their imaginations and pick up a sport like martial arts or gymnastics, then it'll be worth it. But I have to make sure that it's not being done in a preachy way. It has to be entertainment that is inspiring.
Right.
And it apparently worked because it got hundreds of millions of views, and we get letters, we get physical fan mail every day from people around the world who are sending us thank you letters for inspiring them to do a sport or to learn a skill or to learn how to be respectful to their parents or raise their children. So I know that we've made an impact, but the formula is very hard. So it's been challenging to maintain it and keep it up, but it's been a huge blessing, but it's also been the hardest thing that I've ever done, far harder than I ever would have imagined.
Really? What is the what's the hardest part retroactively looking back up to now? What is it? Is it the change, or what is it that you can? Is there a singularity you can pinpoint for making it hard? Because martial arts are hard, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've done several mastery tests with my great grandmaster Ernie Reyes, he's a 10th degree black belt. I've tested up through 9th degree black belt with him. And my first mastery test was the hardest thing I had ever done up to that point back in 2012.
And that's like doing all the moves. Like, I'm not very familiar with the mastery test.
It was a 1 week test. We slept about 2 hours a night, ate about 500 calories a day while going on wild adventures, sleeping in redwood forest, crazy river rafting adventures, doing martial arts throughout the day.
Wow.
So yeah, that was very challenging. They would blindfold us, put us in a van that has all the windows blacked out, big 16-person van, and then they would hand us a can. We'd have can openers that we kept with us, and they'd say, "That's your lunch. Don't talk until we get to the next location." The next location might be 10 minutes away, but it might be 6 hours away.
This is real. This is something that really happens. Like, this is a thing they do. Like, I had no idea.
Yeah, but that was easy compared to some of the challenges of running Ninja Kids.
So we know that that's hard, and that's harder than I've ever done. I mean, I've been hungry for a day, but in the woods, sleeping for 2 hours, never done that. I've been backpacking, but not that. So what is on the other side of that what is happening in Ninja Kids that makes it that much harder than that?
Well, probably the hardest thing is building a team of leaders and creatives. But then also it's creating the content and being able to have the expectation of quality to create, but to be able to recruit people who can see the vision and can understand the expectation of quality is very, very difficult to be able to scale and maintain quality. We, of all the productions I've ever done, the hardest that I ever did was this year. So our first video back in 2017 was based on Power Rangers. There was a movie that came out in 2017 for Power Rangers. So when I decided to make Ninja Kids TV, I was actually driving to a gymnastics meet for my kids in Las Vegas. And we were working a little bit in film and movies, just doing whatever background work or...
Is that for fun or was that just...
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we got paid, but I wasn't doing it for money. Often I would offer to do it for free. I would choreograph fight scenes for small projects, or sometimes I would be a cinematographer on a student film. And even if they had budget, I would usually turn it down just for the experience and offer the...
And that's from, like you mentioned, you've always had an affinity for film.
Yeah, always interested in it. From the time I was a child, I dreamed about being involved in movies, TV, commercials, whatever.
Yeah.
But never had access to do it, never had access to a camera. First camera I had was bought with money that my wife and I got from our wedding gifts. We bought a camera, brought it on our honeymoon, and it was the first time I ever had access to a video camera.
What camera was it?
I still have it, but I don't remember.
You can't get rid of it. Like, I can't throw it away.
Yeah, just took those little mini
the DV
cassettes.
Tapes? Yeah. So that was so you've had an affinity towards it, and is it from watching films as a kid? I mean, you owned a business before this doing martial arts, right? So there's something that...
I've owned a martial arts studio since 1999.
Wow.
I took over my instructor's first studio, the one that I trained at as a kid. And
that's here in Utah?
It was in Utah. It is no longer a martial arts studio. It's now Castle of Chaos Haunted House.
Wait, down in
Midvale.
Midvale?
Yeah.
It's cool.
So it's pretty weird walking through that place now after I started there when I was 9 years old as a student. And when I was 21, I became the owner of it.
Wow. That's quite a few years ago, but it still feels somewhat recent to me. It doesn't feel that long ago. So you took it over, and that was your first step towards owning your own business, kind of, and kind of doing it on your own. You'd never done it before. I mean, obviously you were
it was scary. I taught for my instructor since I was in middle school, but owning a studio just brought a lot of challenges that I didn't have experience knowing how to do. My instructor was not really available for me to learn from at that point. So I didn't have any family really in Utah, so I was just trying to learn as I went. I wasn't really making money, so the condo that I bought when I was 19, I had to sell because I couldn't afford to make payments.
Yeah.
So for the couple years that I was running the studio, I just lived with whoever had a spare couch or spare bedroom.
Wow.
I met my wife about this time, so after about 2.5 years of running it, and we got married a year later, and we both had about 3 or 4 jobs each while running the studio, while we were engaged. And then for the first year after we got married, 9 months after we got married, we opened a second studio. This was 2003 in West Jordan, and we still have that studio.
So that one's still operating under your... What's the studio called?
It's called Pursuit of Mastery Martial Arts.
Mastery. So you guys cover all martial arts or specific disciplines?
Originally it was Taekwondo. That's what I studied under my instructor at Kim's Academy. And in 2006, we started diversifying, and that's when I joined Ernie Reyes, who also comes from a Taekwondo background, but he started diversifying decades earlier. And he has access to top level trainers and
Yeah.
martial artists around the world. So he was able to create a system of kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, MMA ground striking, Filipino stick fighting, Japanese performance weapons, all different kinds of stuff to a really high level. So joining him in 2006 allowed me to expand my knowledge and my skills and teaching ability very, very quickly. If I would have tried to do it on my own, I still wouldn't be to where I was 5 years after joining him.
So before joining him and before opening your second studio, you were really in kind of a difficult position. You weren't homeless, but you were living in homes that weren't yours essentially, and you
Yeah,
were
I was
kind
pretty
of.
close to homeless.
But what was making it worth it to get up in the morning and keep going? Because you had 2 years of that struggle.
Yeah.
Was it there a point where you're like, I'm
Yeah, it was almost 4 years that I ran that studio,
yeah
and about 3 years before I got married. But I, like, to be quite honest, it was scary a lot of the times. Just realizing that I'm working full time for less than minimum wage, and the government protects employees, but it doesn't protect business owners. So I really have a heart for small business owners because they have to make it work no matter what. And in my situation, if I didn't make it work, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have family to fall back on.
and your family had moved out of the state at that point. It sounds
Yeah,
like
when I
yeah.
moved out when I was 19, my mom and all of my younger siblings moved to Texas.
Wow. So it was like, pff, and you were just kind of here. Wow. And you didn't want to move to Texas because you were taking over the studio.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had already moved out
Okay.
by
Yeah.
the time
Okay.
they left. So, but if I would have failed, I didn't have any real marketable skills or high level of education, so I didn't know what I would do. The only things I could imagine was like going to work at 7-Eleven or something like that. And honestly, I don't know if my pride would have let me survive living that type of life.
Really? What do you mean by like not your pride? Like you would feel like it's not a
I
quality.
would just feel like my life, I'm not saying anybody else should feel like this. I'm just
Just
saying this is
yourself.
how I
Yeah. Yeah.
felt.
Yeah.
But I just felt like maybe life wasn't worth it if that's what my life was.
Because you had aspirations of the cats are around. Hopefully, you're not allergic to cats. um, this cat doesn't come out for anyone, but he's out. Maybe you're a calming presence for him.
He's beautiful.
Yeah, he's 3 years old. He's named Ghost because he never shows up, but here he is. Well, that proves it's not AI, right? Well, I'm digging into that because you mentioned quality, and I think that you mentioned that early on in our discussion, and you mentioned it 3 times, I think. And leadership also follows quality, right? But quality is the first thing before anything. And is that learned from martial arts? Is that something you learned while practicing martial arts and it kind of became part of your identity? Because you seem to be a person that focuses on quality first still. Is that the case? Yeah, it seems to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And quality is super important, but you also sometimes just have to make stuff happen, right?
Yeah.
So the first video that I made, in order to force myself not to procrastinate, I gave myself a 4-week deadline and a $2,000 budget.
Right.
So I did everything I could to create the best quality possible within those constraints. Because if I didn't put those constraints on it, I probably would still be working on it.
So setting constraints made it so you could measure the quality.
It made it so that I could finish.
Yeah.
While, because if quality is your only constraint, you never finish.
You become a Michelangelo. You just keep going and going or
Exactly.
whatever.
So quality is super important, but you also have to put constraints on it with your other resources.
Yeah, I tell people the first step of any project is what are the rules? What are the rules to play this game, right? And then once the rules have been set, then you can gauge the quality based off of that. So the parameters have been set. So when you're making things, you tend to set those expectations first, which is what I would say is leadership. Leadership is kind of setting expectations and then guiding people in, right? And that vision. So, what is your process to get people to see your vision? Because you obviously have had to share it with people and guide people in. To create what you have, it's not a coincidence. It requires you at the helm of it.
Yeah, like quite honestly, I'm not so sure that I've been super successful with that. I think some people can see and some people can't. It's very difficult to get somebody to see something.
Mm,
I've had people that I've worked with for years who don't seem to be able to see, but then I've had other people come to me who I haven't worked with
mm,
who see it without ever even having it explained to them.
right.
I've had, like for example, we have Ninja Kids Action Parks. Are you familiar with those?
Mm-mm, no. Educate me. Yeah.
So 2 years ago, we opened the first Ninja Kids Action Park in Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
And now we have 9 locations,
And what are they? What
one
are
in
they?
South Jordan.
Yeah.
So they're like really cool trampoline parks.
Oh, sick.
The Of the 9 locations that we have, 2 of them are built from the ground up, and the other 7 are rebrands and rebuilds. So
Acquisitions of
yeah,
sorts.
yeah. So we found parks like the one here in South Jordan. Used to be an Airborne, I believe.
One off
And
the freeway? Like that's like,
no, there was a different Airborne.
oh, okay, so further down.
It's in the district.
Okay.
Yeah. So that park was kind of a hodgepodge, not in great shape. One half of it was labyrinth, and the other half was a few trampolines and stuff.
Labyrinth was like their like escape room thing they did, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big building. It's about 40,000 square feet,
Yeah. Tilt up
where
construction. Yeah.
50% of it was set up for labyrinth, and that wasn't generating a ton of revenue. So we tore all labyrinth out and remodeled the other half, and revenue-wise, within a year, it 4x'd revenue.
In 1 year, across all the different locations off
Just
of
that one
one.
location, but that's pretty average across all of the ones that we've taken over.
But that was your vision to do that business venture. It was,
Well, I certainly had the vision that
Yeah.
should be part of the Ninja Kids brand.
right.
But in 2021, a couple of guys approached me and said that they were going into this business. They had experience with the business previously, and they would love to partner up with us. So they knew a ton about my content, more than what probably most of my employees knew at the time.
Really?
And so I was really impressed that
Yeah.
they didn't just want to sticker slap the Ninja Kids brand onto a mediocre product. They wanted to build a world-class product, and they wanted to team up with Ninja Kids, which they knew a lot about the Ninja Kids brand and what we were about and our values and the quality that we were bringing. And that's what made it such a perfect partnership. But so many of the companies that have approached us just want to sticker slap mediocrity that's not going to sell without us.
They just want to skim off of the brand. And that's got to be frustrating to be in a seat where you want people to be genuine with you. Like, I mean, I'm being genuine with you right now, where they want to know what you want, what your vision is, and then help support it, right? And that's supporting the brand, but it's more than that for you. It's not just let's just make some more money. It's actually pushing something forward.
Yeah,
So you're pushing.
I didn't
yeah.
start this to make money. When I put that $2,000 into the first project, I was very clear with my wife that I had no intention of making a return on this money, and that the money was being put toward creating something that I was proud of and furthering my knowledge and education. And that was my number one. Those were my top priorities.
Okay.
And if people liked it, then hopefully it would be of value and inspiration to them as well. So I achieved those goals. The money ended up being a byproduct of
Right.
those goals.
And I feel like your intentions are still pretty much where they were when you started. it seems like you're trying to make content that's not brain rot, right? You're making
Yeah,
things that have
exactly.
narrative structure, and I think that push the envelope for the medium. And you said you have multiple channels now. Is that those are focusing on different mediums? Like I'm not,
Well,
yeah,
so we have the Ninja Kids TV channel, but
right,
then each of my kids have their own channel.
okay.
And then I created a Ninja Fam channel, which is basically like my channel that I can do what I want with, and if my kids want to be in it, they
It's
can.
like a playground of just to do what you want.
Yeah,
Okay, like
yeah,
what this is.
yeah. Initially,
Yeah.
each of those channels was kind of built to put on content that wasn't of high enough production value to be on Ninja Kids TV,
Yeah.
so that we could keep building the Ninja Kids brand, but we still had freedom to make other types of content.
Okay.
The challenge, strangely enough, came when each of those channels became very successful. And the Ninja Fam channel actually, over the last couple years, generates more revenue than the Ninja Kids TV channel.
It does now?
Yeah.
So you've been able to kind of start, but you also can see. So you're able to see at a point there's a fork in the road, and like you're making that decision not on financial decisions, but on there's something that's driving those decisions. If it's a business
So
decision, or yeah,
the when we first started doing a second channel for my oldest son Brighton, it was because in 2017 YouTube started demonetizing tons of channels and videos. A lot of the people we knew in YouTube, their entire channels got demonetized for no reason that YouTube would give.
really,
And YouTube was getting some bad publicity
yeah,
for some videos and channels that were on
right.
their platform. So they're like, we'll take action. Hack, hack, hack. Look, we just demonetized
Boom.
100,000 videos. We took action.
Oh my
So
word.
we were a new channel, only about 6 months old.
Yeah.
And we didn't have our whole channel demonetized, but we did have some of our videos get demonetized, including our very first video. On Thanksgiving 2017, it got demonetized. It had 45 million views at the time. No explanation as to why it got
You
demonetized.
just had an email show up in your inbox or something, and you were just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And that was the first big set of hoops that we had to figure out how to jump through. And so they're demonetizing a bunch of our content, not telling us why. So some of the content we're like, well, let's put it up on a different channel and see what happens. And in fact, the first time it happened, so it was 2018 Easter, and we just made an Easter video. But we had two videos from 6 months earlier that were demonetized, but we were told, actually they got removed from YouTube. Yeah, they got removed.
Oh, dude.
And we got an email from YouTube saying that we're removing these two videos for violations. We're not going to tell you what violation, but just that we're removing them. Usually when you have a video removed for a violation, they give you what's called a strike. And if you get 2 strikes within a few months, then you can't upload a video for 2 weeks. But in the email, they said, we are not giving you strikes. However, 6 months later, all of a sudden, 2 strikes pop up at the same time
From the
from the videos from 6 months earlier that got removed. And it was just a few days before Easter, so we couldn't put up our Easter video because it wouldn't let us upload for 2 weeks. So we put it on my son Brighton's channel, which was monetized at the time.
Yeah.
Or this video got it monetized, I don't remember for sure. But it got tons of views on his channel. So then we contacted YouTube and we sent them the email that they had sent us saying we wouldn't get strikes. So they took off the strikes
Yeah.
a couple days after Easter. We were able to put the video back on. But that kind of stuff happens all the time.
It's like whack-a-mole, technological whack-a-mole, right? You're just sitting there playing the whack-a-mole game. So like my interactions with YouTube is I just make all my stuff's behind corporate, can't share it anywhere publicly. So anything you see that I'm making is usually because I own it, right? But if it's something I'm making for a client, I can't share it publicly, and if I do, I get fined or something, right? So, but in your case, you're sharing it publicly and then getting whacked by. And is it like, are you interfacing with like a bot half the time, or is it like with a person? Like, do you know someone that you?
It's it. We did have people to talk to, but they usually communicated like bots. So they would usually read a script.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't actually tell you much of anything or help you with much of anything.
This is
So
like
I
your.
actually haven't
Yeah.
spoken to YouTube in 2 years because I got so tired of them spinning us in circles that I told my team I wouldn't talk to YouTube anymore. They could do it. So my wife still talks to YouTube sometimes, but I won't do it.
It's because it's a waste of your time, more so because you're just running in
I
circles.
just,
Yeah.
for so many years, it was so aggravating to find intelligent life there. Apparently we do have a YouTube partner manager that is better than anyone we've ever worked with before. So,
Yeah.
but still, I just have such bad experiences that my wife does that. Not because she has to, but
She's willing to.
yeah.
She's the angel kind of. That's you're fortunate to have her helping you with that. So she's probably a big part of. It sounds like from my collecting, she's a big part of the success.
Oh
She's a
yeah.
big driving force in this whole story. It's not just
Yeah,
you having great
definitely.
ideas. It's her supporting those ideas.
She's very supportive. She works hard and yeah, definitely.
And then, has there been points? You said last year was the hardest year with YouTube. Is that
Well,
or is that
so
everything? Yeah.
I can't go into too many details with this current project, but
Yeah.
our first project was Power Rangers. Then in 20, what was it, 4 years ago, 2021, Hasbro, which owns Power Rangers, came to us and said, "We want you to make some more Power Rangers
Really?
and we'll pay you." And we're like, okay, I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And at first they say I can have full creative control. And now I had worked with Hasbro before. And of all of the companies that I've worked with, almost every major brand out there in toys, and also Netflix and Disney and Paramount. So we've been hired by just about every major entertainment brand and major toy company. And
And is that to promote things within the videos? It sounds like, or is it?
yeah, to promote their products typically. So I have had some challenging experiences with Hasbro in the past. So when they brought me this deal, I'm like, okay, but I'll only do it if I have creative control. And they said, yes, you have creative control.
Okay.
Well, then every week they start saying, except for this, except we want you to do this, except this. And after a few weeks of going back and forth on that, I'm like, so basically you're making it impossible for me to make anything that's going to be entertaining whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you have to do it if you want this opportunity. And
You hadn't signed a contract at that point yet. You were just in talks back and forth.
I don't remember if anything
Yeah.
was signed or not, but I probably not. So I pulled out. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And they were offering us like 4 times the amount that we had ever been offered to make content before.
Wow.
And I'm like, nope, not going to do it. So I ended up still making the video, but it was super rushed. And obviously I had to like,
Because it got delayed by the.
yeah, it got delayed.
Yeah.
The script got changed. Everything was rushed. And so that was our 9th episode of Power Rangers, which is just like a little mini series.
The series, yeah.
And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm done. So we didn't make another one. Then last year we got reached out to again. They're like, we want you to do it again. We want you to do Power Rangers. And I'm like, no.
You remember the last time?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. But then they said, well, it's not direct through Hasbro, it's through Playmates, which has the license to make Power Ranger toys.
Okay.
And Hasbro still owns the IP, but they have permission from Hasbro to let you do this. And they're going to give you full creative control. And I said, all right, well, if they'll put all of that into a contract, I'm indemnified from Hasbro, and I have full creative control. And so we spent like 8 months working on the contract.
Wow.
And
8 months,
yeah,
dude. 8 months.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
got the contract buttoned up, and in February
Yeah.
we started production, or started working on getting a script ready for production. I already had like script ideas through past years, but basically it's a continuation of our story that we started in 2017.
To keep the series in a canon of sorts, so it has.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It basically plays like a continuous movie.
Okay.
So this is the part that I can't go into too much detail on, but anyway,
Yeah, don't get yourself into trouble.
what I can say is that it's the hardest project by far that I've ever done. We had the biggest budget, so we went from $2,000 on that first production
Yeah.
to
Ballooned a little
to
bit.
our budget on this one was close to 7 figures.
Really? For a video that goes on YouTube. See, and like what I think's fascinating is you know so much about production, but you make it look so easy when kids are able to just consume without any hinges, if that makes sense. And I didn't know about Ninja Kids till my son started watching it on his iPad. And you make it look like they could make movies, right? In like a very
Yeah,
like
I mean, there's some things that we've put out are much less production
quality is
challenging.
good. Like, I mean, I'm not saying the quality is bad. I'm saying they are able to think of stories themselves. And he
Right.
made me take these cameras and shoot a video of him doing ninja stuff.
Nice.
I was like, whatever you're doing, it's so well done that people don't realize how hard it is
Yeah.
to make it that
Yeah,
easy.
and that's the goal. And with our first video, like I said, I was never on camera, and in the outtakes while the credits rolled, I showed my son, who was 8 years old at the time. I showed him being the director,
Really?
right? So that way, when kids watch it, they see all kids acting, but then they're like, oh, but it's also kids making it and writing it.
Because what people think is like, oh, it's just kids making videos, right? And people don't think about how hard it is to make kids act well, first and foremost, which you get really consistent results with kids, which is so hard. And then you're also getting video over video being consistently on brand, which is beyond hard to make that happen.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed when I see someone that creates something twice, right? Once is always a fluke, could be, but you did that more than once. You did it how many times now? You know, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah,
would know.
we have we have probably 24 or more videos over 100 million views.
Yeah, and that's because you're able to deliver a product people want to keep consuming, right? And that's a business, right?
Yeah, so it's the production for our Power Rangers this year. We had 2 weeks of production, and our average day was 14 to 15 hours
Man, that's a big day.
back to back.
Yeah.
Some of those days were longer than that, but it was tough. And of course,
Yeah.
my days were longer than anyone else's, were longer than the crews or the actors,
Right.
because I had to be there before everybody else showed up,
And you're directing
leave
and
after
stuff.
everybody else leaves.
Yeah. Is that what you're doing on set? Is you're directing, or what is your role when you're there?
I wrote the script, 75-page script, which that was by far the biggest and hardest script I'd ever written. And also all the complexities of trying to write it so that it continues from our previous story, even with a 4-year gap and the kids aging, and the length of the script, but also incorporating these characters that are not my IP, right? So how do I stay true to these characters while still staying true to the story that we've had? And there's just so many characters, because we had the 6 Power Rangers plus a 7th Power Ranger character as that's a young kid from a different Power Ranger universe. The Bulk and Skull characters, how many villains? Several villains, 4 or 5 villains, and
How are you keeping all this straight?
and then all the fight scenes too, because it was shot
Yeah.
like a feature-length movie,
Wow.
but there were several things that I wanted to get in there so that it's entertaining as individual episodes, to also show things that Playmates and Hasbro would want featured. Like if I were to just make it as a movie, I would probably only have them do their morph sequence once or twice. But since I wanted to make it in a way that
Promotes their brand. And,
that promotes their brand, I had to figure out a way to make it so that they morph every segment, every episode. So about every 15 minutes.
to train the audience to kind of anticipate that character to exist again, and then
Yeah.
so writing that script, you had to think of that.
The first so there's 4 sections, episodes. The first one is supposed to come out this week,
Okay.
but I don't know what's going to happen
Here's the stress, everyone. You can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
because Playmates did not heed my warnings about Hasbro,
Yeah.
and Hasbro was pulling their old tricks.
Oh, so you're in a production. What do they call it? Like, where you're stuck. Like, you have to do reshoots then, or are you gonna?
Well, no, I don't know. We're still waiting to see, but Playmates wanted us to make something good and of quality. But I think Hasbro was only okay with us doing it if we made something not of quality.
Really? Because they're like, and like I tell people, like dealing with a large corporation is like dealing with the government, but without like help. Because the government has like a manual. You can like open up whatever that thing is for that department and read about it and know how to engage. You can go to HOA meetings. You can do whatever, right? But if you can engage with like a large corporation like Disney that you have, or Hasbro, any of these large ones, they don't want you to know what's behind the curtain. And if anything, they're not going to tell you. They're just going to tell you what they don't allow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still waiting to see. I shouldn't say too much until.
But there's stuff in the works.
see,
There's
yeah.
things happening still. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we can still release it.
And then your older. So you mentioned, we were chatting right before you came on camera. Your oldest son's 21 now. So you have oldest to youngest. You said 5 kids, right? So they all have their own channels, and are they all kind of incorporating this into their career paths as well, or is this something they're doing?
My oldest, he's running his own channels, and
It's like farming almost. Like
yeah. So my concerns about having my kids do YouTube is that they can make enough money without fully challenging themselves. And so my oldest is in a situation where he has a good income, but yet he hasn't learned all of the skills necessary to have earned that income.
Interesting.
Which means that it's not going to stay unless he
It's a
he
mirage.
learns those skills. And he's aware of this.
Yeah.
I don't know that he was aware of it a year ago, but he's aware of it now.
Yeah.
So he really wants to progress and learn, but he also needs to decide what makes him tick, what gives him an intense burning desire to excel and to create value. And maybe creating videos isn't it. I don't know yet, but it's very difficult for him to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go do another job now.
Right, because they essentially were just a job for him. It wasn't. The kids consuming the videos aren't living making the videos. Like the audience kind of like imagines themselves being in that role, but then you maybe don't see it the same way being in it.
Yeah. It's making content is not easy, and it's getting harder with time because the bar is going up and people who are succeeding are getting better at it and putting more effort into it. So if you're just like a casual person who like Ryan's World, for example, are you familiar with that channel?
No.
For years, it was considered the most successful channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was a kid who was like 5 years old who said, "Mommy, I want to be on YouTube." And so she just took out a camera and started filming him play with toys and go shopping and stuff. And
Yeah.
He has over 50 million subscribers, and he's a teenager now, and kind of seems like he's stepping out of it, and they're trying to replace him with his sisters or something. But the brand is going down. But my point is that the success that they had would not be possible in today's environment.
And I think people, they look backwards and they say, hey, this happened back then. But that's basically saying, MySpace was really popular back then, so we should do that. Like data doesn't represent the current state, it represents the past, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at views, and the thing is, views do represent success, but it also represents it's a half-life to it, right? Every time you go back further, it gets less.
Yeah, there's a point at time, and it's like nobody was really doing what she did, or very many people weren't doing it, and there wasn't other alternatives for quality that were out there. So she could make these super low quality videos of her kid opening a toy.
Yeah, really? That's not what it is? Is it opening toys?
Yeah, exactly. And it would get 100 million views. And then they worked hard to increase their production value, but it just never really reached the same level of quality as their early low production value stuff.
You guys have set a pretty high bar. I mean, I make videos for a living, and what you're doing is a lot of work. So I commend you for doing so much on the back end.
We haven't been doing much this year, though. We mostly stopped production last year.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of my production team because we had two big projects this year. The Power Rangers movie, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Series.
Yeah. And then Ninja Kids Live. In the spring, we went on tour through 25 cities to perform Ninja Kids Live.
Really?
Eccles Theater was our first show, sold out over 2,000.
Really? What was the show? Did you plan and produce this?
Yeah, that was the other thing I was working on early in the year, is writing a script for Ninja Kids Live and the Power Rangers script. So those are both things that were incredibly challenging and outside of my experience level up to that point. But I'm proud of both of them. Both scripts turned out great. Ninja Kids Live is a mix of challenge, like physical challenges that my kids do live on stage with story elements,
like aerobatics, or I don't know what they.
Yeah, acrobatics, martial arts, and it has story elements, and it has villains that try to take over, and then take over the show, and
Really?
And then my kids have to defeat the villains, and it has it's moral driven. So the 5 principles, or the 5 ways of the ninja, are.
Is this pulled from actual martial arts, or is this the story?
Some of it is.
You're pulling source material
the
from.
5 ways of the ninja are something that I put together specifically. Yeah. So it's
dip, dodge, duck, dive.
Now
we'll put them on screen here.
I'm spacing. Let's see. So it's honesty, courage, respect. What are the other 2? Let's see. Okay, so
last 2.
The ways of the ninja: respect, discipline, honesty, gratitude, and courage.
That's them. That's the 5.
Yeah, and then the imposter ninjas, they take over, and then their values are the exact opposite of those.
So what would the opposites of those be, to quiz you on those?
So like dishonesty, disrespect, fear,
ungratefulness,
and lazy.
So the performance would kind of inherit,
or undisciplined.
So those 5, they would inherit those 5 attributes, and then you'd have to fight that back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going back out on tour in like a week.
Cool. In a week? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So I caught you at a good time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So we have 23 more cities that we're performing in. And then in December, we're going back to the UAE to perform in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, this will be our third time performing there.
And is the cast the same cast that you're using with Ninja Kids, like with your kids, are incorporated, or is this a cast for the
Yeah,
show?
so right now it's
Yeah.
just it's my family.
Okay.
And we have, when we do Ninja Kids Live, it's just my family and one other person who performs. Dr. Disaster is one of our villains.
Yeah.
Travels with us.
And you're on stage too? Like, what is your role on
I
stage?
kind of host and I perform a little bit of martial arts with my kids, and my wife does as well.
Any stage fright before the shows? Anything like that?
I mean, yeah, there's always, there can be some anxiety, especially the first couple shows, just hoping that you do well.
Yeah.
But fear is like the anxiousness that you get to choose if that's excitement or fear, right?
Yeah, it's the same emotion, right? You're
Yeah, I
just
mean, it's
the
like the same
pendulum.
chemicals. You just
Yeah.
gotta,
Yeah.
if somebody's on a roller coaster and they're like, I'm so afraid, versus they're like, woo, I mean, it's the same chemicals that they're feeling, right?
So you'll sit there backstage sometimes and kind of meditate through that feeling, and then you'll kind of swing the pendulum into the fun side versus the fear side.
Yeah, exactly. If you choose fear, if you choose that feeling is fear, then eventually you're not going to want to do it anymore.
And it's different than stress. Stress, you could be stressed for a show, but not scared of it.
Stress is a type of fear.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to read a book. That's fascinating. I have so many questions for you, but I feel like I don't have enough time to ask you them. But my last, I guess, kind of thought path here is you live in Draper, and that's not just a coincidence. Like you've stayed in Utah. Is there a reason you've chosen Draper as your home? Because you live not far from here, and I mean, people are probably curious why you live in Draper of all places.
Um, Nice views.
That's my reason.
Yeah, we travel a lot. We've traveled to over 35, 36 countries.
Yeah.
And we lived in Puerto Rico for 2 years in 2021 and 2022.
Okay.
I would have probably stayed there, but my kids wanted to come back, just access to their activities
Really?
and sports and friends,
What would have kept you there?
climate and taxes.
Yeah. The two main reasons. There's no good surfing or anything like the,
Surfing's not great there.
No?
There's one little town, Rincon, but it's on the other side of the island from where we lived. It's like a 4-hour drive.
But do you speak Spanish?
Not much.
No hablas español?
But even if I did speak Spanish, nobody's going to speak Spanish to me there unless they speak zero English. Almost everybody speaks English.
Yeah.
And if they speak any English, they usually prefer to speak English to you if you're not a native Spanish speaker.
Really? Did your white wife like it there too? Was she
Yeah.
okay with it?
Yeah.
So you'll go back when you retire, essentially.
Probably not. It's we still have a place there, but we've only been back once since we moved back.
So 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never been there. I've been to a lot of places because my wife's work before when she first started out, she was doing corporate events that were like incentive trips to locations. So I'd be going with her and I'd be like, man, there's so many pretty places. But when I would come back to Draper, or not at the time, coming back to Utah, flying in, I would just see the mountain ranges and just see the peaks and just be like, this is the place I want to live, you know. And then when I started mountain biking, I found Draper, Suncrest area, and I was like, this is the place to live forever for me. The snow is a little bit challenging, but where you're at, it's not quite as high elevation, is it? Or is it still pretty high up?
No, I think about what it must be like to drive up here in the winter sometimes. It's got to be tough.
It's harrowing, dude. You see, we have a big truck and a big FJ Cruiser just so we can get up in the winter, but I'm okay with it. We did have a winter, though, where our house almost collapsed from the snow.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, yeah. So that was...
What year was this built?
This was built in 2001, this house. And in 2022, the crazy winter, our roof was starting to cave in on the top because the pitch wasn't steep enough. And I had to go up and shovel the roof off.
Oh, that's scary. People die doing that.
I would have rather died than do that again, dude. It was crazy. Yeah, I couldn't pay anyone to do it. I tried offering people money to do it, like just anyone, and they were like $1,000 an hour. Like they just refused to do it because it was just like a glacier on the roof. It was insane. I have videos of me. I don't know if I post them in our like Facebook page, but like I was just shoveling for like 5 straight days. It was psycho. Yeah. Apart from that, great place to live.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you past your time. I would have loved to talk more, but I know you have a busy schedule. Probably got to deal with Hasbro some more.
Yeah, I'm hoping to find out some information. Let's see if I've gotten a text. Nope.
But this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming up and talking on the podcast. And if you want it for anything, it's yours too. If you want to post it in one of your channels, you can have it. I get like 20 views on them, up to 100. But I always tell myself it's 100 households that are watching it. So
Yeah.
it's not about views for me. It's about just getting people talking, which now we know more about the person behind Ninja Kids, but also just what makes you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming on. And
Thank you, Jordan.
we'll be looking forward to seeing you out there posting more videos soon.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Awesome, man.